let's go to the Monday Night Football game number 1. The Saints at the Panthers. The Panthers are +3 at home. The total is 40. That's at 7:15 Eastern on ABC. And you have the Panthers as one of the more unlucky teams of week 1. You have a 59% luck gap here with the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, and that one, it's only a luck differential of 14, but a big luck gap. Again, we're looking for games with a luck gap over 50%. That mainly just has to do with there's only been one game played, so there hasn't been enough time for regression to really happen there. Plus, the Saints, they probably should have covered that spread. It seemed like Vrabel was trying to cover the spread by kicking the field goal there. I don't know.
Man.
Do you have any idea why he kicked there other than just to cover the spread?
I'm actually not knocking it because I was watching that game, obviously very intently. I love betting on the Titans, as painful as it can be at times. But the Titans had the Saints in many a 3rd and long, and I think they were unlucky in their own right, because even that play where Carr hits the bomb to Rashid Shaheed to win the game, that was like a 3rd and 9 or something like that. There were a lot of third downs where the Saints should have been dead to rights, and even a couple of, I think a drive before that, it was like a 3rd and 12, 4 minutes or so to go, and they converted one. I mean, I think Vrabel just had confidence in his defense, as he should have. They were getting good pressure. So I don't hate the move. I'm not knocking it. I think it's easy if you're not really paying attention to the game and you just, Vrabel kicked the field goal down 4. And it's like, what an idiot. But watching that game, I completely understood it. If they just make that stop on 3rd and long, they get the ball back. And if they could do anything in that game, it was getting the field goal range. So all they would have had to do was get back in the field goal range one last time. So I don't hate the move. But either way, I did think Derek Carr looked a little better than I expected. But not great still. I mean, they should have had more points considering all those third downs they converted. But what are you doing here with the captain spot?
Well, you just mentioned him, but I'm going with Rashid Shaheed in the captain slot. I think, Chris Olave is the more prudent play, and definitely can't fault you if you go there. And I will have some teams with Olave in the captain slot. But, Shaheed picked up where he left off last year. He had the 3rd highest yards per route run last week among receivers. And, he provides the clearest path to upside in the captain slot just because he has big playability. Also has other paths as well. He saw 2 design handoffs for 11 yards. I think that's how he opened his career last year, right? As a rookie, he took a handoff for 40 yards for a touchdown on his first
Cardinals,
touch.
I want to say, in that Cardinals Thursday night game.
He had a
big play in that game, yeah.
Oh, yeah, that was just an opening, deep ball. But, I think his very first play was a jet sweep or something for 40 yards or something. And he's their kickoff and punt returner. So if you do take the Saints defense special teams here, which might be warranted against Bryce Young, you can get the double dip here. So I think Shaheed, I think a lot of people will have him in the flex, but I think using him in the captain slot is where you can get a real big edge on the slate.
Love it. Yeah, that dude was running open, stressing me the hell out with my Titans.
Because
my Titans +3.5. It was just what a plot twist it would be if Rashid Shaheed is the best Saints receiver. Then Derek Carr is gonna have a good season, and we're gonna be like, damn it.
Yeah.
But
on par with Olave, for sure. And Michael Thomas, as long as he's healthy, that's a good trio.
Yeah, no, that's one thing I give that organization a lot of credit for. They have been nailing their wide receiver picks.
Yeah.
Thomas, we kind of forgot about him because he missed a lot of time, but let's not forget he was, I think, a 2nd round pick. And I remembered getting him in the 9th round of fantasy drafts his rookie year, and just being so pleased that he's an extra stud. Even as
did they move up to get Olave, or that was
they moved up to get Olave.
Oh, they did. Yeah, I was thinking. Yeah. I know the Commanders moved up to get Dotson.
Dotson was just a reach. Everyone thought Dotson was a reach.
Yeah,
the Saints traded a lot of capital to go get Olave.
So they actively.
Or it's 15. Yeah, it was somewhere in the top half of the first. So it was looks like draft capital well spent. I mean, they're still a little thin. They're an aging team, but man, those receivers are going to be open quite a bit. So maybe Carr's not going to have to do too much, but should have had more than 16 points, I'll say, last week. And would have, I guess, if that last drive, if they didn't have to nail it They probably get at least 3 more.
Yeah, and they fumbled the opening kickoff too, right? Like,
oh my god,
off the bat.
That was hyped. I was hyped for that. I was like, and it was crazy because the red zone, like, they were not talking about it. I was watching red zone and like they kept flashing it, and like you see the Titans celebrating on the sideline, and they're just not showing, like, they're not talking about it. They're talking about all the other games on the Echo box, and I'm just watching like, when are they going to start talking about the fact that the Titans just pulled the ball out of his hand?
I wasn't watching red zone. I got to figure out my new process. I was just going back and forth from games at like 5 and I had Jamal Williams over 14 rush attempts, so I was interested in that game. And it seemed like whenever I went to the game, they were reviewing something for like 15 minutes. So I just stopped watching it.
Oh my God, so many reviews. Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And I don't know. Are you a fan of like these indoor domes? Like, I feel like they kind of look like you're playing football in a dungeon. Like, they're too dark. Like, they're not well lit enough. I
agree. Like SoFi's perfect because it's got
SoFi's
the
great
opening on the sides. So I think every stadium should be like SoFi, where it's open on the sides.
Yeah, I guess I never noticed it as much before, when I'm watching Red Zone, because you have like the 8 games and you see all the grass and the sky, and then you just see like they cut the Saints Titans or Falcons Panthers, and it's just like they're playing in a closet. Like, I don't know, the lighting is just a little odd to me, but I digress. My captain, love me some Jamal Williams this week. Slow game last week, highly predictable. Tennessee, even with all those injuries in 2022, Tennessee was still the number 1 run defense in DVOA. So they're not going to be a team that you get much going on the ground on. Carolina, on the other hand, Carolina is ranked 32nd, dead last in Pro Football Focus's run defense grade. Carolina is ranked 32nd, dead last in Pro Football Focus's tackling grade. They are 4th in pass rush, but I think here, whereas you saw Carr and those wide receivers get after it a little bit against the Titans, I think you see a run-heavier game plan. You saw Bryce Young struggle. I think Dennis Allen's going to come into this game and say, you know what, we gotta make sure we don't make mistakes. Hand the ball off against this bad run defense. Williams played 75% of the snaps, and what I really like to see, he ran a route on 62% of the dropbacks. In Detroit last year, even with those 17 touchdowns, he was running about 15-20% of the time on a weekly basis.
Yeah.
So big uptick here. Threat for 20 plus touches. The only Saint rusher to carry in the red zone, excluding the Carr kneel downs. He had 2 carries in the red zone. And Carolina, 25 for 131 with 2 touchdowns on the ground, 2 Atlanta running backs, and 9 for 46 and 1 through the air. So for a guy getting, 3 out of every 4 snaps in this backfield, he is facing the defense that allowed the most fantasy points in week 1 to running backs, even more than the Dolphins. So love me some Jamal. And I think it sets up perfectly because he had kind of a slow game, even though he had some volume in week 1, a pretty slow game on the stat sheet. So love the buy low opportunity here with Jamal. Okay, where are you going for value?
So I'm actually going to piggyback your Jamal logic here. I do think, the Saints will have an easier time moving the ball, at least on the ground here, against the Panthers. I do think Jamal's going to have a better game, especially it looks like Kendre Miller might not play again. But so I think they're going to have to get somewhat creative as well, other than just giving it to Jamal. So I think this could be a good Taysom Hill game. He only had 3 rush attempts for 4 yards last game, which is, pretty low for him. Most weeks. So this is a week where, I think they're going to get Taysom Hill more involved in the ground. He's not a target. He might get a pass attempt here. I always like taking Taysom Hill on showdown slates, to be honest. So I think he's a good value play here.
He didn't only get a target. He got an end zone target that was overthrown by Derek Carr. If Carr puts a little less air on the throw, Taysom probably can high point it in the back corner of the end zone. So yeah, I got to tell you, I was watching that game very closely. I have a photographic memory of pretty much every play of that game.
I do remember that play now. And yeah, that's the other thing is, they usually play him a ton in the red zone. So he's always a good pick. I think, that people might overlook him on this slate just because he had such a bad week 1. But he, like you said, he had the potential for more. On the Panthers side, it's tough to call anybody a value play, but I'm going to go with DJ Chark here, provided he plays this week. He's still coming back from that hamstring injury. But none of the other wide receivers really stepped up when he was out. All 4 receivers caught exactly 2 passes. And Chark is the downfield threat. So if anybody can do anything on 2 passes, it'd be DJ Chark. So I think he, again, since he didn't play week 1, if he does play here, I think he's going to be overlooked on the slate.
Yeah, I think Chark can do something, but I'm surprised you didn't go with your boy Jonathan Mingo, man. I was encouraged.
Yeah, I shouldn't have to bring him up all the time, but I'm always
you left me some good players on this slate. Like
I know I did, right?
With the you left me Jamal. Yeah, you left me Mingo here. So thank you, man. But yeah, I like Mingo as a value play. 87% of the snaps, 93% of the routes in game 1 as a rookie. I think even if Chark comes back, I think Terrace Marshall, from everything I heard in camp, is the one that would kind of bump down to running with the 2. So not a guarantee, things change, but I was encouraged from what I saw from Mingo. He caught 2 of 5 targets for 17 yards, but he did see some valuable targets. Missed on a 41-yard downfield bomb, and then didn't catch either of his 2 in the 10 to 20-yard range, but. Overall, he saw a 36% air yard share, which is top 25 among pass catchers in week 1. So that's, we love, especially on showdown slates, we love unrealized air yards. We love it. So, because those are the guys that, people just looking at the game logs, clicking between different guys, 2 catches for 17 yards, next, you know what I mean? So, give me all of the Jonathan Mingo. And then another mid-range play, kind of higher mid-range, but, I think Olave is going to be the guy, everyone rightfully loves him. But, we talked about Shaheed. Let's not forget about Michael Thomas because, he started the game, played 92%. He played on 92% of the dropbacks, 7 targets, 5 catches for 61. And, he started on the left side and played more of his snaps on the left side, which means with JC Horn going to IR, CJ Henderson's probably going to be the guy. And he has really never been a good corner in his entire career. Every year, a passer rating above 100. He got roasted for 45 yards on 2 targets by the Falcons last week. And remember, the Falcons only threw for about 130 yards. So that's like, a third of their total against CJ Henderson. And Thomas led New Orleans with 3 red zone targets. He was the only Saint receiver targeted inside the 10. He was targeted twice. So could have had a much bigger game. So give me some, Mingo unrealized air yards and some Mike Thomas unrealized touchdowns. Because last year, remember, I think it was against Carolina, he had a multi-touchdown game early in the year before going down. So love me some Thomas in that mid-range. I don't even think you have to stack him with Carr necessarily, unless you can play Thomas in the captain spot. Then you do want to probably stack him because I think he is a multi-touchdown threat here. But either way, I like him as a mid-range play this week.
Yeah, no, I like both those, and I still think that Mingo and Young, they might take a couple games that get their chemistry right. Like in the preseason, they just missed on a couple big plays, so it's going to happen eventually. Because Bryce Young's unique; like he moves around, he has to move around the pocket because he's only 5'10". So sometimes the receivers don't realize it's going to be coming from a certain angle and things like that. But yeah, once they get on the same page, watch out. Mingo is definitely their best receiver. I was also impressed with how involved Hayden Hurst was in week 1. I think people will take him because he caught 5 balls, 41 yards, and a touchdown. But the underlying usage was there too. So I do like Hayden Hurst as well.
I feel like this is a week where our guy Gilles Gallant on the touchdown show is gonna buy low on a Tommy Tremble, anytime touchdown. I remember he had one last year and it came Tremble got stopped at the 1 inch line, so still waiting for it. But I think Tremble did run about 9 routes in week 1, so a little kind of segued into our dart throws. But who you got for dart throws?
So I'm going to scrape at the bottom of the barrel here with the Saints, and I'm going with Jimmy Graham. He only ran 1 or 2 routes in week 1, so he's simply a touchdown flyer. I think if they get in the red zone near the goal line, he could be in there. And it's a primetime game, so I'm sure he and the Saints would love, to get him a touchdown. But he did look good in the preseason. Like, again, he's not going to play much this year, but when he does, it's going to be in the red zone. So for a showdown slate, all we're looking for is one catch for 2 yards and a touchdown from this guy. I think he could do it. And for the Panthers, I'm going to go with Chuba Hubbard just because he outplayed Miles Sanders in week 1. And
Yes.
Sanders also lost the fumble. So, Hubbard definitely earned more playing time. Sanders probably has a really long leash. I don't think Hubbard's going to leapfrog Sanders by any means. But, this could be more of an even committee this week specifically. Plus, Hubbard was getting like all of the short yardage work. So I would not be shocked if, in some goal line situations, he's the back that's in there. So he has, short touchdown upside as well. So I think Hubbard is really sneaky on the slate.
I actually I'll make that bold call. I think that Chuba Hubbard overtakes Miles Sanders. Wow. I'm hearing that internally the Panthers already view Hubbard as their best downhill runner. And as you mentioned, they have to protect Bryce Young. Clearly, it's not going to work just dropping him back, 40 times a game. So I think we're going to see a lot more of Chuba Hubbard. And, we kind of started to see a glimpse last year once they traded McCaffrey, but then Deontay Foreman was just so good that, it went from
almost a
50, almost like a 50-50 split into Foreman kind of just stole the show. Well, now you're kind of back in that situation with Chuba Hubbard and then, kind of a more traditional starting running back. But I totally agree. I think Hubbard passed the eye test. I think Hubbard's better in the passing game. And if Hubbard's the better downfield runner, then why is he not the starter? Right?
Exactly.
What is Miles Sanders? And not hating on Miles Sanders, but
right. They are paying Miles Sanders way more money. Yeah, that'd be the only reason at this point.
Man, Carolina, I feel for y'all because I just don't think Frank Reich and Fitterer are the right men for this job. I think the best case scenario would be for Carolina to kind of bottom out this year, fire everyone, and then complete reset. You still have a great quarterback in Young and some great pieces on that defense. Yeah. But you're starting to see it already, right? Like, I mean, you come out in week 1 and you just get blown out by the Falcons who, Desmond Ridder had 3 incompletions. I mean, you pay all this money for Sanders. Hubbard's already better than him. Like you're just seeing it like one by one. You're just starting to see this things are going to crumble around this team. So, I'm not a big believer in the Panthers, but everyone knows that already. For my dart throw, Juwan Johnson kind of devolved into a dart throw a little bit with all these tight ends on the Saints. So I'm going to go with him. Just kind of a low end play. He's not a true dart throw, but a quiet 3-catch, 36 yard performance in week 1. But underlying metrics good, 82% route participation rates. Even ran 7 more than Rashid Shaheed, which kind of surprising. And I did take note of that Atlanta game. Another one of those dungeon dome games. I was, kind of had to look hard to find these guys, but Atlanta completed 11 of 12 passes against the Carolina linebackers, Frankie Louvu, Shaq Thompson. So I do think Johnson's going to have some opportunities. And remember, Kyle Pitts had 3 targets, 2 catches, 44 yards. Doesn't look like much, but that was 38% of Atlanta's receiving yardage. So I do think, to your point about Jimmy Graham, I do think the tight ends could play a little bit bigger of a role. So probably not like a running back catch the ball week for the Saints. I do think they have some edges on the outside and at the tight end position, and then on the ground. So I know Carolina is the unlucky team here, but I'm having a hard time kind of coming around. Just like in week 1, it was like, man, the books are just begging you to take the Panthers with the hook. Falcons favored by 3.5. Couldn't do it, and glad I didn't because, it's going to take some time. But Visca is going to be my dart throw for the Panthers. Another poor man's Debo. I don't think his role will be affected if Chark comes back. 32% of the snaps, 26% of the routes, 2 targets, 2 carries, 1 carry came in the red zone. And Bryce Young, again, pressured 45% of the time and was just 2 for 10 for 23 yards with 2 picks on passes 10 plus yards down the field. So what does that tell you? Carolina is going to need to manufacture offense. That's why I like your boy Hubbard. And that's why I think Laviska Shenault is going to get another 4 or 5 touches this week, and will probably be overlooked. But he's still, we saw him take a screen pass to the house against the I think it was the Falcons last year on a primetime game. So he still got some juice. Didn't quite pan out as a starting receiver, but I do like him as a dart thrower.
Yeah, he was a second-round pick, right, out of Colorado. He's very talented, and I think he is the type of pass catcher they need to get more involved with Bryce Young. Like, Bryce Young isn't a downfield thrower. I didn't like the DJ Chark signing. So I think, going forward, even if Chark comes back, I think they have to get Shenault and Mingo, obviously, more involved in this offense.
You know who would have been really great for Bryce Young? I know he didn't have a great week 1, but DJ Moore. DJ Moore would have been.
Oh yeah, he would have been. He would have been a perfect fit for Bryce Young. Are you kidding me?
Another reason I just not a believer in this Panthers brain trust. I listen, I'm not an NFL GM. I don't pretend to be one of those guys, but I'm pretty sure that you have to. I know you need to get that deal done. Find any other way. If you're going all out for a quarterback, I mean, honestly, if it had to be Burns or somebody on the defense, because you're going for your franchise quarterback, trading your best receiver, it just didn't make sense.
Yeah.
And now look here we are. Look at where we are. So let's move on to the final Monday night game, 8:15 Eastern on ESPN. You have the Browns, who look very, very good. At the Pittsburgh Steelers, kind of, I guess this would be a Tomlin rah-rah spot, coming off a big loss, home underdog, divisional game, low total. So, the Steelers are going to get up for this game. But with that being said, who do you like in the captain spot?
I have to go with George Pickens here, just because, Deontay Johnson's out. Pat Freiermuth is banged up. I don't know if he'll play. He could be limited.
He's good.
He's good. Okay. Yeah. He got knocked out the chest injury, I figured. Yeah. But either way, Deontay's out, so Pickens will be, the clear number 1 receiver. It's not an ideal matchup against the Browns. They just held Joe Burrow and the Bengals to 82 passing yards. But I think Pickens is good enough to overcome even a tougher matchup. But I am really looking forward to his matchup against the Raiders next week without Deontay Johnson. But I think in this game, even if it is pretty chalky, I'm going to have to go George Pickens in the captain slot.
Yeah, I mean, this Browns team was really good, so you could get some game script, some trade on game script. And the Steelers, and I'll get to this because there is a guy I kind of like, a guy, both of us haven't really liked, but that I do like this week. But the Steelers over 50 dropbacks last week, and a lot of it was getting down pretty quick to the Niners, but that's still promising sign for their pass catch, especially now with Deontay kind of out of the picture, concentrates the target share. And I think Pickens is a great talent. It remains to be seen how Pickett develops, now that it's not preseason anymore. But I have on record as saying I was taking Pickens everywhere, so I'm totally on board. I will have some of him in the captain spot as well, but got to go with my guy Nick Chubb. I know Jerome Ford also got 15 carries, so maybe hopefully people will get a little scared up. But I loved what Chubb was doing in week 1. I mean, he had 18 for 106, nice little efficient game on the ground, and he caught 4 passes on 4 targets on just 12 routes. So if we're getting pass catching Nick Chubb, I mean, he's overall RB1. He's got to catch up to McCaffrey, but it's in play. If he's going to be catching passes. Pittsburgh allowed the 3rd most rushing yards to opposing running backs. A lot of that was Christian McCaffrey, but Pittsburgh did allow 162 yards to the Niners backs. And Cam Hayward, big presence in the middle of that Pittsburgh defensive line, not going to suit up. Divisional game, physical, Tomlin. This is a Nick Chubb game all day, man.
Yep, can't fault you there. Nick Chubb with receiving upside is a top 3 back for sure.
Oh yeah. Okay, value plays. What do you got?
Let's see. On the Steelers side, got to go with Calvin Austin because he probably will get the biggest increase in terms of playing time. With Deontay out, your boy Allen Robinson, he's already maxed
pretty
out.
Good. He looked pretty good.
He looked great. Yeah. We'll
best
get there,
he's looked in years.
Exactly. He looked good. But his playing time's already probably maxed out in the 85% routes run range. So there's only so much he can go up. But, Calvin Austin had 6 catches for 37 yards with just a 54% routes run rate. So that could be closer to 80% this week. So I love his upside. Plus he's, the Steelers punt returner and kick returner, I believe. So, you could use the Steelers defense special teams with Calvin Austin for the double dip. Would make sense against Deshaun Watson, who threw probably the ugliest interception I've ever seen in my entire life last week.
I saw that.
So love Calvin Austin on the Steelers side. And then the Browns side have to go with Donovan Peoples-Jones just because, he's a guy that has a wide range of outcomes because he is more of the downfield threat. He had a quiet week 1, only caught 1 ball for 12 yards. But, he had an 8 out of 15.5. So if the Browns do get in a situation where they have to throw more, they didn't have to throw much last week. He's a good boom bust type of option for a showdown slate.
Yeah, last year, years past, it's been, what do we uncover, like Robert Tonyan, KJ Osborne on this pod. This year, Deontay Hardy, Calvin Austin, guys that, we were like, these guys are probably going to play a lot more than people think. Musgraves, and now
Musgrave.
I think Hubbard's going to be next. I think EE is going to eventually be the number 3 receiver for the Dolphins.
Yeah.
So you're just putting those out there. But yeah, I love the Calvin Austin call. Finally took a player I wanted because you got in the outline before.
I finally got there. Took 3 games.
But so I'll go head to head with you on the DPJ. I like Elijah Moore more than DPJ. Another guy who I'm hearing, like a broken record, but I'm hearing they want to use Elijah Moore a little like Deebo Samuel. And in week 1, he did get 2 carries for 19 yards, and he was Cleveland's leading receiver with, modest, 6 targets, 3 catches, 43 yards on 28 routes, but tied for the team lead with an 80% route rate. Amari Cooper did sit out some snaps, but I think I would say DPJ's role is a little more in jeopardy because Moore is the shiny new toy who they're trying to include, get, feature a little more. So I'm a little more worried about DPJ because you also got Goodwin that they want to work in. You got Tillman as well, some dart throws. So I like Moore here. Again, just trying to find these poor man's Deebo Samuel type roles. And on the Steelers, obviously Austin was going to be my first choice, but I'll go a little contrarian here for this pod anyway. We've been kind of ragging on Najee Harris all off season long, and what did he have? Like 6 carries in week 1.
6 carries for 3 yards or something like that.
Yeah. But what if right there with Vrabel is a man named Mike Tomlin, whose teams always get up for these kind of games and who wants to have a physical run first identity. Who's going to be more pissed than anyone that the Steelers had 52 dropbacks and 9 design runs last week? Not Najee Harris, not Matt Canada, not Kenny Pickett. It's going to be Mike Tomlin. And so I think there's going to be a mandate to feed Najee Harris the football. And, Najee has never played Cleveland and failed to score a touchdown. He has at least 1 touchdown in all 4 career meetings with the Cleveland Browns. So if there's any time to play Najee Harris, it's this week. And then maybe you sell high if he gets you 50, 60 yards and a touch, or, 20 carries, 63 yards and a touchdown. It's kind of the Najee line, the standard Najee line. But I did notice Anthony McFarland mixed in a little more. So I could have also gone Jaylen Warren here, but I'm going to go Najee first because, again, I do think they want to get that physical presence going in this game. So I do think this is going to be kind of a Najee game, even though long term I'm a little more bullish on Jaylen Warren.
Yeah. No, I do like that call. If Harris has a good game, which is certainly possible here, sell high because Jaylen Warren's coming. And does Anthony McFarland's snaps like when they were down by 50 points? I don't think he was mixing it early on.
But I do. So I was hearing that they were going to have a role for him this year, that he did have a good camp. And I think I mentioned it when we were talking about Warren. I was like, that is one thing. It's like, McFarland, they might involve a third back this year. And he had 2 targets on 5 routes, and both of them came in the red zone. So I mean, it's not nothing. It's something to pay attention to. I'm not saying he could have 0 snaps this week, but definitely a dart throw for me. But who are your dart throws?
So I'm really scraping the bottom of the barrel with the Steelers. I'm going ultra dart throw here. Connor Hayward, who saw a 25% routes run rate last week, mainly due to, Pat Freiermuth leaving the game due to injury. I think Darnell Washington also got banged up, and it was a blowout. So not expecting 25% routes run rate here. But, they, like, all preseason, they were mixing him in. They were using him as running back at times. Like, he's a player.
Yeah.
They were getting creative. And he's really efficient. Whenever he is on the field, it's like they give him the ball, and he's efficient. So, he's a guy where I would only consider him on a showdown slate, especially what could be a lower scoring matchup like this. So I love taking some Hayward flyers in this game. And then, Jerome Ford, I think on the Browns side, he might be kind of popular because he did essentially split work with Chubb last week, kind of down the middle. That was mainly due to the blowout, but there is a chance they do carve out like a Kareem Hunt type of role for him. They do like to just limit Nick Chubb. They don't want to run Nick Chubb into the ground, especially this early in the season. So there could be, 5 to 10 touches for Ford, especially if, the Browns do win this game handedly. So I think taking some Jerome Ford shares here works as well.
Yeah. And, going back to Hayward, another guy, can catch it, can run it. Another poor man's Samuel. Not Debo. Poor man's Jalen Samuels. Remember him on the Steelers?
Yeah.
Little tight end, halfback, kind of fullback hybrid.
Damn. Yeah. Didn't he end up with he was on the Cardinals practice squad last year? If I had to recall where he fizzled out.
Yeah, he kind of fizzled out. Maybe the Texans. Yeah, he's been bouncing around. I'm not sure if he's
future XFL star, I'm sure.
Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, he last played in an actual NFL snap in 2021 with the Texans. But
okay.
Yeah,
great comp, by the way.
I do like Hayward. That's why they got rid of the Watt brother, because they're like, we're just gonna use Hayward as the fullback, tight, and they got rid of Gentry, so they could, he's gonna be our other tight end. So yeah, they like him. They like him a lot. I already mentioned McFarland, who, by the way, you can stack with the Steelers D again. Mike Tomlin, rah spot. Don't ever think that this will be an easy game for Cleveland, because it won't. So, if you want to stack McFarland with that defense, he had 3 kick returns for 91 yards, so average over 30 a pop on the returns, kind of just a little extra bonus. But for the Browns, give me some Marquise Goodwin, give me some unrealized air yards, no catches on 2 targets, but a 43.0 average depth of target. So he led the Browns with a 31% air yard share. He had 86 air yards, a 23% route participation rate, and he was targeted on a quarter of his routes. And that's consistent with what we've been hearing out of Browns camp, is that they acquired Goodwin not as just a throwaway random, veteran. They wanted to get faster. Also why, they're going to feature Elijah Moore, but they wanted to get faster. And I think they're going to have a few shot plays designed for Marquise Goodwin each and every week. So at some point he's going to realize those, that 43.0 A dot, and you're going to get an 80-yard touchdown. So it reminds me of, what team? It was I think it was the Vikings or the Niners. It was this skinny wide receiver that had 2 touchdown catches on a primetime game, and I'm blanking
recently.
It was in the late 2010s.
2010s.
It's gonna kill me. I'll tweet it out when I think of his name. But I remember because I was on him in DFS, and nobody was on him. And Aldrick Robinson.
Aldrick Robinson.
Yeah, he had a multi-touchdown game, just one random primetime game, and I was all over it. And it was just the greatest thing ever. But that reminds me, Goodwin's gonna do that for somebody this year. But let's close it out with what are the top 3 luck ranking matchups for week 2?
So the first one is actually the Thursday night football game between the Vikings and Eagles. The second is the Raiders Bills. The Bills being the unluckier team, believe it or not, that they lost to Zach Wilson. And the third, we mentioned it, the Dolphins Patriots game. The Patriots being the unlucky team, actually the unluckiest team of week 1. So based on our luck rankings, the top 3 plays this week are the Vikings, Bills, and Patriots.
Yeah, and that's that's good. Bills, my boy, maybe my boy James Cook can get some positive game script, and without Josh Allen just going nuts and bonkers and doing dumb shit behind, in the backfield.
Just
let my guy cook.
My favorite was I think it was a 3rd and 12. He scrambled. He was probably going to get 5 yards, and he was like, screw it. I'm going to try to jump over him, get an extra 2 yards, and make it 4th and 5. That was my favorite Josh Allen YOLO play, if you remember that.
I mean, we all miss NFL Blitz. Josh Allen just trying to bring it back. NFL Street, NFL Blitz, the glory days. Most people think Madden is trash now, so, I'm sure he's kind of harkening back. He's on the cover of Madden, so,
he's on the cover? Oh.
Yeah. I've only played a couple games.
Oh, no.
One of the better Maddens, by the way. Exactly.
We should play. We should stream a game of us playing each other.
We gotta get you over here. We gotta maybe do Convince Me from my spot or something. We can watch Red Zone. I'll show you how we do it on an 82-inch. You know what I mean? Because you can't be switching back and forth between games. That's so.
You see my setup. You
do have a dope setup, but
or we go to Legends.
Either way. I don't think we've watched games on a Sunday outside of action New York yet, so I got.
I think we went to a game on a Sunday. We'll figure something out. The first couple weeks are always nuts, but we'll think of something.
Yes, sir. And that is going to do it here for our night shift podcast for week 2 of the Fantasy Flex. Be sure to check out the full list of luck rankings at actionnetwork.com for more great fantasy content from Kerner and I. Be sure to check our full player projections episode, which is out now on the Action Network podcast channel, as well as our fantasy preview episode right here on the Fantasy Flex channel, where we break down the main slate. actionnetwork.com for our NFL betting and fantasy content. fantasylabs.com for our DFS tools and models. Find us on X. Sean is at @the_oddsmaker. I'm at Chris Raybon, and we're at those same handles on the free award-winning Action Network app. Until next week, let's get this money.